Hello and welcome to part 3 of lesson 3, patterns and text. Well, lessons advanced topics. This part's patterns and text. Uh, in the last part, we used our knowledge of sweeps, lofts, and shells to make a more elegant model of the bad design of a watering can. And in this part, we'll be using patterns and text to make the watering can a little bit more fancy looking. So we have patterns of little diamonds and such. We'll be using linear and circular patterns, and we'll add some text. Because why not too? So first, um, let's also look at well, if I can get out of, getting out of PowerPoint seems to be quite the struggle in this series. So here's what we'll be making, but first, let's look at the bad design once again, because it has some updates. It also has this diamond pattern and this circle pattern of diamonds and this wonderful text right here. That is high quality. So if we look at the features right here, well, first of all, knowing the designer, we should be very lucky that they didn't do each individual diamond as a separate extrusion. That would be a lot, but okay. This is okay, well, it's not too bad. So they made each of these diamonds themselves. They used the mirror tool, it seems, where they made one diamond and then they mirrored it across here, and they made half of a diamond and another half, and they mirrored it, which is, I mean, it works. It's kind of weird. But once again, if you want to change this, it's still a big mess. And because I'm in the extrusion, that's why I'm going to exit out of that. There's a lot going on there. So let's take a look at over here. So we got the sketch, and there's a lot going on here too. So once again, instead of doing everyone manually, well, they still sort of, they had some, a stroke of brilliance for a moment compared to the rest of the watering can. So they use these circles for construction at the different points along the diamond. So at the first point, they're all going to be at the same distance from the center because they're all along this circle. Same thing with these points, they're all along this construction circle, and same with the final points. And then you dimension the circles, and then that's essentially dimensioning all of the points along there. As for how they're aligned to the circle, well, this one's vertical, this one's horizontal. This one's lined up directly to this line, so I guess that's how they found the center of this square, because if you look at the origin, that's why you always build around the origin, because the origin, when you don't do that, it's over here, so it's useless. So they had to find the center of the circle or center of this face another way, so you got a diagonal line in the midpoint. And then these are, so this, instead of being horizontal from this point, is 20 millimeters from here, and then this is also, so in theory, if I made this 25, then it would, yeah, that's weird and very complicated and ugly. And then this is also like this point's dimension from the top, or it's defined from the, so it's not, ugh, that's all I have to say. And then the text, oh dear. So that's not even anything, it's just free form sketching with lines, and it looks terrible. So let's come to our watering can, which is this one. Let's start off designing with the diamond pattern on the right side. So we'll come to extrude and Control 8 to center. And let's start off with a basic diamond shape. There we go. Now this is not constrained at all, so you can move all these points around and it's going to be weird. So we're going to use some construction lines to help us. So line, construction, and we'll take from here to here, and then from this point to this point. Escape to get out, and then we'll select this midpoint. Maybe we have to zoom in, and this one as well. Actually, I don't think I got the midpoints. I think I just got the lines, but we'll take this opportunity and select perpendicular. So that'll make sure that they'll always be perpendicular. And how did this extra line get there? That's weird. So yes, that was a good way to make sure I can get the midpoint. So we can get that midpoint and that midpoint. And and make sure that they're coinciding. Or if you didn't get 2 points, you could get one midpoint and then the line, and you could say their midpoint. That works too. So now we have another line. Okay, I don't know why I have these extra lines. That's weird. We have a diamond shape. So we can say this is 25 and this is 15. There we go. It's going to be 25 from the top, I think is what I said. And then also 25 from the middle. Very simple. We'll extrude it only 1 millimeter because it's just a decoration. It doesn't need to go far. So we have our one diamond now, and instead of making the same diamond and recreating with the sketch 8 more times, we can use the linear pattern. So it came over here, linear pattern, and it's asking us, well, first of all, this is a very scary and complex menu if you have no idea what any of it means. So here it's asking for the first direction. So linear pattern, you have your X and your Y directions. So it's asking for the first direction. I'm going to come down here, I'm going to select the front plane, because that's going to be the first direction. And you see the little arrow. Well, don't worry about that for now. So just pretend I have this. So the front plane is going to go in the direction of the front plane, and the feature is the extrusion. So now it is going in this direction, but I don't want it to, so I'm going to select this arrow, and it's going to go that way. Let's say we want 25 between them, and 3 of them. Okay, so that's nice. Now we have three diamonds, and we could come in and do another linear pattern to make them go down. Or what we could do is in the same linear pattern, once again because we have X and Y, we can come to direction 2, and we don't have to select a plane. Either we can select anything, so we could select this edge for say, and let's say we want 3, 25, and that looks good. Once again we could flip it, but we want it to go that way, and if we click the check mark, oh, there's an error. Unable to create this feature because it would result in 0 thickness geometry. So come over here and do this going in. The point where these 2 diamonds touch right here would be the 0 thickness geometry because it can't create any, well, it's 0 thickness, so there's no like model or base or whatever. There's nothing there, so it doesn't know what to do. So my solution to this is just to make that 24, and then the diamonds overlap a little bit. So that's kind of cool. And you can, if you come back to, if we go up 1 before the pattern, if you wanted to say make a cutout in the diamond that is a, how should we do this? Let's do a construction line using this point, or Control 8. Let's say we wanted a circle right here in the middle. And that's going to go in 1 millimeter, that's fine. Actually, for the sake of this, we could say it's going to only go in 0.5 millimeter. That's why it's different, and we didn't just put a hole in the diamond. So when we come back to the linear pattern, and click the check mark, is it going to... Yeah, so you saw the circle there, but the circle didn't appear here, which is because we only selected this one feature. But if we select the second feature, so the cut, now the circle is going to appear in all of these. So let's turn it around to this face. Actually, first I want to get the diamond here because it's a good diamond, and I don't need to bother remaking it. So I'll just select that and copy it to the sketch. So your normal Control C. We'll come over here, do an extrude, paste that right there. But this time, let's say that this is going to be 10 across, or 7.5. Nah, 10's fine. And we'll make this vertical with the center, and and it will come up. I want the top to be, let's say, 15. Let's do 10. We got a little bit more space. And once again, there we go, 1, and we have a single diamond. We're going to do the star pattern. And we did the circular pattern before in the assemblies, in the previous lesson with the assemblies and the assembly base. And what you need is you need a axis of rotation. So you can say that I want my feature right here, but if it doesn't know where to rotate it about, it's not going to do anything. So you can say like there maybe, and then you have equal spacing, and you have, yeah, that's not going to be helpful to you at all. So you need an axis through the middle. Now normally you might make an axis, or axes, however you want to say it, through 2 planes. So say the top plane and the front plane, that make an axis. But when we initially made our flower pot, watering can, dang it, okay. We made it up instead of, so when I did the original one, I did a mid plane, but we did the vertical, so we don't actually have access to the top plane being in the middle. So what you can do is actually a variety of things. So for one, you could take another plane and say I want from the top plane, and then I want a second reference of, say, the middle of this line right here, so that might work. Or you could do a sketch on this surface, and then I want a point vertical from the origin. I think I have to do Control 8 right there. So vertical from the origin, and then horizontal from the midpoint. Remember, I'm doing this using constraints and not dimensions, because if any of these change, then we don't want these points to change either. So all I wanted was that point, and now we can do an axis using the front plane, and, oh wait, no, I want the right plane, not the front plane. And then come to the sketch, we want the point right there. So it's going to make a axis perpendicular to the plane through that point. Click the check mark. There you go. This is starting to get kind of long, and I can't see anything because of the little mouse or the keyboard visualization. Yep, thank you. I have not saved. That's fine. We don't need the sketch, so we can hide that. Or we'll hide it in a minute, whatever. So features, again, select the extrusion, and then parameters where we want to rotate, we want this axis. We can choose, so we can say direction, we can say that I want 2 instances, each 36 degrees apart, or I can say equal spacing and have 360 degrees and have, let's say 10. Is that what I did? I think I did 10, yes, okay. There we go. Here's a star. It looks, I think it, I'm going to come back here and bring this up a little bit closer to the top. We call that 7.5. Look better. That looks worse. That's okay. So I messed around with it for a little bit, and this is what I came up with for dimensions. So I just shrunk this to 10, and then it's 20 from the top, and then the height's the same. And why does that look... Oh, okay, I know what I did. Yeah. So I'm dimensioning the wrong dimension here. I think of the other one I did from the center, not the top. So that's an important distinction. Yeah, that's 32 and not 25, or 20. There we go. How's that look there? Okay, that looks normal. So now we can do text. So extrude from this face. So now you're probably just going to want to go, because you have it in the sketch tool, you have this text. Well, you can't do anything. I can type. but we don't have any control over where it's going because it needs a curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a line for construction, and I'm going to reuse the axis because it's in the center. And we'll make this actually for construction, and also make it a midpoint line, because you'll see in a second. So there we go, it's horizontal. Now when we come to type, my name, it's going to be on the line. Then you have your basic text editing options. And then I find that you have to uncheck this most of the time, because then you want your font customization. You can change the size of the letters right here, spacing between them. Most of the time you're just going to want to come to font, and you can either choose unit or points for how big your font is. So say 5, that's going to make it bigger, and then bold so you can read it. And the reason why you made this line, so keeping that line in mind. Oh, and wait, can I, okay, I'm going to double click on the text so you can see. And then just so you know that this exists, you can flip around the text. Depending on how you define the line, you may need to do that. But if you shrink the line right there, it's going to cut it off. So that's why you need to make the line long, and preferably from the center. So that's how you do text. And that's it. Just extrude, and you're done with that. And we don't need the axis anymore, so we can hide it. And there you go. There is your finished watering can with your fancy designs. So, what do we go over? Well, in the bad design, we saw how it's bad to use a ton of features to do a relatively simple task. It's very blocky. Some things aren't lined up, so like there's a hole right there. This does nothing. This is needlessly complicated. It's just a needlessly complicated design. And here we started with a cube, hollowed it out with the shell. Then we used the sweep to make a handle. So we made a spline curve. Had some trouble with that, but we got that figured out and made a profile. Then we used the loft along with a couple planes for. Oop, what did I? I don't know what I did. I don't think I did anything. Did I? May have moved the origin. I don't know how I did that. No, I am sketching. Whoops. All is good. So we did the loft with some planes to help, and then we made our sketches inside. To do that, we shelled that out, did some fillets to make sure our edges were smooth. Then we made our diamonds, put a little circle in them, and used the linear pattern, both with 25 and 24, to make sure that all comes through. And we used the the plane and then the edge for reference. And then we did the circular pattern to stop clicking on the wrong things, using this axis for reference, which needed a point in the middle of this face as well. And alternatively, if you just made this from the midplane, you wouldn't have to deal with that, but we didn't. And if we did that, it may have broken some stuff. Then we did the text tool right here with a line, and then did text pretty easily. And that is it for lesson 3. I will see you in lesson 4 to talk about some cool things to do with linkages. Farewell until next time.